Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 4 secrets about Pat McGrath Labs. Now, before we get started, there's a couple things I want to address. The first thing is my brow situation. These brows have been freshly microbladed. They are day 3 of the healing process. So they're a little bit different looking, a little bit more red tinged than what they will look like at the end. I was tempted to put like a brow pencil over top to kind of camouflage them because I'm not like super proud of them yet. Like they're still healing and I don't know how they're gonna look yet. So I was a little bit anxious, but you know what? Let's just roll with it. This does happen from time to time. People can get microblading. They don't look the greatest at first, so we're just gonna roll with it. The second thing is that we are missing my dog today. He normally shows up for my secrets videos and says hi to you guys, and he always likes to do that. But right now he's at the vet, and your girl is a nervous wreck right now because he's getting a dental cleaning. It's so routine, you guys, but they do have to put dogs to sleep for that. And I'm a nervous wreck. I'm just like anxiously waiting for the phone call that he's okay. So I'm just a little bit anxious, but again, we're just gonna push past both those things. He will definitely be in the next secrets video. Now, without further ado, let's get on to 4 secrets from Pat McGrath Labs. Now, secret number 1 is actually that there is a reason why her color stories in her eyeshadow palettes might look a little bit out of place. The reason why I say this is because this is a lot of feedback that I get from you guys, and I actually see this myself. And that is that especially when I see a mothership palette, the full 10-pan palettes, sometimes I'll see the color story, I'll look at it and I'll be like, okay, that blue seems a little bit out of place. That green seems like it wouldn't really go. And that purple and yellow together, I don't know what I would do with that if I purchased that myself. Now, there definitely is a reason why she has done these types of color stories, and it did take me actually kind of reading on her biography and how she is as an artist to find that out. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, Pat McGrath was doing makeup that was totally different. It was challenging the norms of the makeup industry. When people were doing grungy, muted tones in eye makeup, she was doing bold and colorful and breaking a lot of barriers that way. So when she decided to release her brand, to me, that makes a whole lot of sense. Her inspiration is always breaking boundaries. It's always being bolder, doing something different, and now it makes a lot of sense. Her work definitely reflects that. She does have a lot of bold colors kind of mixed with colors that you might not necessarily see sometimes. So that is something that makes a whole lot of sense. And as a consumer, if she was making her own brand, it makes sense why she would do it off of her own style. Now, secret number 2 is, of course, the formula learning curve. Now, this is a bit of an unpopular opinion for my viewers sometimes. I have gotten some pushback from some of you saying that, like, no, these formulas are the best ever. Like, what are you talking about? And let me explain. Some of them are great, but some of them I have run into some issues with, and I have been very honest with you guys in the past about that. The first being her powdered matte formula. Now, her matte formula, to me, I don't understand, but for some reason, it doesn't quite seem like it's made equally across all of her palette styles. She has like some 6-pan palettes that are really tiny, like mini size. She has these types, which are like the packaging built right in. This is also a 6-pan palette. And she has her full-size mothership palettes, which also have the matte formula in them. I find the matte formula is the most exceptional in the full-size 10-pan palettes. There are quite a few of you guys that might disagree and think that the matte formula is consistent across all of her products, and that I might be crazy to think that, but for some reason with maybe it's my expertise, the fact that I'm not a makeup artist, I'm still learning all the time and learning from friends that are makeup artists, but I find that this matte formula seems to be the most consistent and the easiest to blend out. Often I find that the matte formula with these, for instance, can get a little bit patchier and a little bit harder to blend out, and I do find that I'm working a little harder to get that kind of diffuse look on the eye. The second thing is actually with her glitter formulas as well. She is known for this stunning gel, it's almost like a glitter topper type of shade that she will put in some of her mothership palettes. These types of palettes will not have those kind of glittery formulas, but her full-size mothership palettes will. And I'm going to show you this new one today. This is my little baby, my first full-size mothership palette that I have purchased because I feel like it's really fulfilled a need for me, and I do feel like it is the first one that I would consider totally worth the money. You know that I've been very honest about that in the past. This is my favorite so far, and one that I did decide to justify splurging on. This one is Divine Rose. It is mothership number 7. It should be. I think number 6 is how it's labeled, but number 6 is Midnight Sun, so I don't understand that. Maybe she made both of them number 6 for a reason, that I'm not sure. Maybe it'll appear in another secrets video, who knows? But this is the Divine Rose palette. As you can see, you guys, very, very wearable. This, to me, out of all of her mothership palettes, has a color story that is a lot easier to see right away, especially for someone that isn't necessarily used to bold colors or into bold colors or is intimidated by bold colors. This one is gorgeous. I think once it arrives on her website, which it is supposedly on November 7th, this one will fly, because this one to me will grab more so the masses of people that are into trying out her formula but might not be into the bold color stories that are a little bit sometimes like harder to visualize. So as I was saying before, these types of glitters here are stunning, but they do have a formula learning curve. And this is something that I think is going to get some backlash from certain customers. Sometimes it'll be totally fine. People are okay with it. But I reached out to you guys in my VIB sale haul and I asked you guys, how do you apply those types of shadows to your lids? Because I find the fallout is immense. You guys did say, okay, so there's a way to do it. You got to press and slide. That was one. Another one was you have to buy a certain mixing medium. Another one said use your Fix Plus, like spray Fix Plus on a brush and then apply it. Someone said you got to be careful, you're digging too deep, etc., etc., etc. I can see certain consumers being a little bit disappointed that they have to learn a totally different application style when it comes to that particular formula. I think being the price point that it's at, a lot of people, I get a lot of this in my comments from time to time, and a lot of people say if that's an expensive palette already, it should apply effortlessly for me. I shouldn't have to learn how to make it look good. It should look good for me. This is a crazy price point. Why am I now learning or buying extra things to make it look good? I actually see it both ways. I absolutely agree with those people. I think, yeah, if you're spending that kind of money on a palette, it should be effortless. On the other hand, this is actually also made with a particular reason in mind, just like her color stories and how she is a bolder makeup artist, kind of challenging social norms that way. She also uses her fingers a lot to apply makeup. This is one of her things that she's also talking about in a lot of interviews. She says, my favorite application tool is actually my fingers. I feel like it's great for manipulating shadow. It helps to kind of blend everything together. It's a tool that is so overlooked. So that makes sense to me why she'd be creating formulas that are catered to a finger application. I can definitely see, if you're not into applying stuff with your fingers, how you might be very disappointed in knowing that that's probably one of the best ways to use them. Now, secret number 3 is the packaging inconsistencies. This may or may not be a secret to some of you guys. It just depends on how much of the brand you guys have actually tested or purchased yourself. But for me, I find the packaging is very hit or miss. It can be incredibly luxurious and also really crappy feeling. My first example of this is when she released her base makeup. She had her foundation, her powder, and her primer as well. The primer and the powder felt cheap. The stickers were almost coming off of the primer. It felt like it was just like haphazardly glued onto the container. And then you had the foundation that was glass. It was luxurious. It was heavy. It felt like everything was so beautifully made. And it really was interesting that she decided to release everything all together, because it was like beautiful packaging on the foundation, mediocre for the powder, not so great for the primer. Man, that was definitely disappointing. The same goes with her eyeshadow packaging sometimes. This is actually just a single shadow I have in Rose Venus, and this is just like a plastic, very basic packaging, right? Like, this is not heavy. This is definitely something that I could see other brands manipulating and putting their label on, and I'd be like, oh yeah, like that's like a another brand's eyeshadow very easily. I wouldn't think this would be like a high-end luxury brand. But this, I mean, like this is like lacquer. It's heavy. It's like beautiful. Like this is like, okay, yeah, she pulled out all the stops for something like this, right? So definitely some packaging inconsistencies. And the one thing that I do find is when she does put the effort in, wow, it's amazing. When she doesn't, it's like, yikes, like it's very, very obvious. It's not like just a little bit worse, it's like a lot worse. I would say one of my worst packaging things with her is actually the sequin packed like outer packages when she has like her mini glosses or things like that. I always open them and the sequins go everywhere and it's quite a mess and I'm like, oh, this is so wasteful. Same when you actually order from her website. She has these paper black little strips that seem to fly out every time you open the package. It's really bizarre. Now, the last secret here is all about, I think, the best investable pieces from her line. Now, as you guys know, I have been very honest about which mothership palettes I have passed on in the past, which mothership palettes I didn't think necessarily were worth the money, which ones just didn't interest me, and things like that. And for her brand's price point, I really do feel like these things have to be like striking out of the park in order to justify it, because we're looking at, you know, other brands that are close are Natasha Denona, like Charlotte Tilbury. I mean, they're not even hitting these price points at times, but these are all brands that we as consumers should be incredibly, what's the word? We should be very cognizant of where our dollars are being spent, because now we're at a high price point. It has to be worth it. We have to be able to spend the money and be like, yes, I got a great product for that price. I honestly think that you can get a ColourPop palette at like 20 bucks and be like, oh yeah, like I bought, you know, a blue palette for 20 bucks from ColourPop. It's still a great product. It's just like a different price point. I'm not knocking them at all, but you know, it's more forgivable for your wallet to be like, okay, I made a mistake and I purchased this palette and it's collecting dust. It's 20 bucks. If you make a palette purchase like this, $200 and it's collecting dust, that's going to hurt so much more. So I would say when it comes to what are the most investable pieces from Pat McGrath, definitely a mothership palette that you think would best serve your needs, whether that be creatively, every day, or whatever. These full-size motherships are definitely worth the price point depending on your personal preferences. This one is my favorite. This is the one that I would recommend to you based on my preferences. If you have a total love for blue, there's going to be a Pat McGrath palette with a gorgeous blue in it that I think would be great for you, but not necessarily good for me. Same with Bronze Seduction. Bronze Seduction is one that has a lot of like everyday tones as well with some pops and stuff. That could be your holy grail depending on the color story. Same with Midnight Sun. So for myself, of course, this is the one worth waiting for. I'm actually really glad that she released something like this, because this was something that I was looking at all of her palettes and I was like, oh, I'm still not finding one that's really getting me excited, and this is definitely the one at this point. So when it comes to the best investable products, I think the secret is definitely these big ones. I think that she does a decent job when she releases these ones, you know, the ones that have the 6-pan eyeshadow palettes with the packaging built in. It's not terrible, but it's not her best, and that's just my opinion. So I feel like a lot of us are being extra choosy, and something like this is fine, but if you're looking for like her best, it's not necessarily her best. These types of products do not offer her wide variety of formulas that she has trademarked and is known for. Only the big mothership palettes are offering those, as well as her quads that are the Blitz Astral quads that are new for the holidays. Those are also ones that I think are worth checking out too, because the price point is less than a full mothership palette. So if you want to just experience the Pat McGrath kind of style, those Blitz quads are really nice because they are her signature formulas, and I really think that they kind of showcase her portfolio of what she's capable of for the specialty shades area. Now I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these secrets? Do you like the brand as a whole? Do you not like the brand? Can you justify her price points? I know there's going to be some of you that will never justify it, and that's totally okay. There's people that just don't want to spend that kind of money on makeup. They have other interests, and that's great. I mean, you got to spend your money how you want to and how you feel happy doing. So thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Again, apologies about my brows. They will heal up. And also, I promise I will have Harvey in our next video for sure, for the next secrets video. And until my next one, guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us. It shows the way.